Today we're going to be looking at the UK job market, specifically people really struggling to find jobs in the UK. I know there's two sides to every coin. Some people say people don't want to work and people don't want to find a job, and the others will say there is absolutely no jobs for anyone. As per usual, the answer is somewhere in the middle, but I do think over the last few years, especially since COVID finished, and there was obviously a mass sort of rehiring right after COVID, especially for service jobs and stuff like that. Everyone seemed to be hiring, and then suddenly it seems like everybody is laying people off. I mean, you see constant tech sector layoffs. I mean, if you go and look at any of the big companies, especially in America, I mean, Microsoft laying off people, Meta, Google, everyone just laying people off. It seems like especially good jobs are becoming harder and harder to come by, and because there's so much competition, you never really know if you'll be able to secure a good job. And also another thing is there's so many people with degrees nowadays that like even the low jobs, even like the so-called low skill jobs that usually, you know, you could fall back on if you couldn't find something better, even those have so many people applying for it. Let me know, what is your job? How long have you been employed? Are you employed? Yeah, if there's any other topics you want me to cover, leave them in the comments below. But without further ado, we're going to get into this.
I've been unemployed since the 20th of May. It's now the 10th of July. Okay, the 10th of July. Still no job. I've been applying, and the only interview I got was for door-to-door sales.
I will say, it's not the longest period to be unemployed. I think, obviously, during COVID, most people were unemployed because no one could really go into work or you were just at home. So I guess, does that count? But after COVID, I was unemployed for a while. It was definitely longer than 2 months. But you kind of just have to do what you got to do. And the reality is, unfortunately, there may not be the job you want, but if you really need a job, you need to take whatever you can get. And you can say you're applying, but the reality is, how many jobs are you actually applying to? 1 a day, 2 a day, 10 a day. And it's funny that she said the only job that got back to her was door-to-door sales, almost like the worst job you could potentially get. And a lot of these jobs are very commission based. I know in America it's very similar, but I see those jobs advertised all the time on Indeed. Those sort of door-to-door sales, solar sales, all that bullshit. Most of the time they're probably fake job listings just trying to steal your info and sell it on somewhere. But yeah, let's move on.
A biomedical science degree, by the way. And mind you, I turn up to this interview and the guy that's interviewing me, lovely guy, he's asking me about why, you know, I left sales the first time. And I was telling him, oh, it's just because it's kind of monotonous sitting at, you know, a desk all day, every day. And he goes to me, mid-sentence, monotonous? What does that mean? What does that mean? What do you mean, what does that mean? You're interviewing me. If that doesn't tell you you're overqualified, I don't know what will. Where's my job at?
A few things to say there. I mean, she said she has a degree. I did kind of a biomed degree. I know a lot of people that did biomed degrees. I remember back at school, it was one of the probably more popular degrees. I mean, it is an entryway into medicine if you want to continue that, but being a doctor is so difficult, right? So even if you go in with biomed, I don't know what jobs you could potentially get with that degree. I'm sure there's a few things in labs maybe, or maybe you could work in healthcare, but I do know to be a nurse or to be a doctor, you probably need to do a lot more studying for that. In terms of the interviewer, I mean, just because the guy is interviewing you for a job doesn't necessarily mean he's smart. I don't also think that was the greatest answer. Didn't she say she was working in sales and now she applied to go to sales again? And she said the job was monotonous. Personally, I would never talk shit on any jobs I did just because it doesn't look good to the person that the interviewer. Like, imagine you're just talking shit on your old job. It kind of looks pretty bad to me. Also, being overqualified is definitely it's definitely a thing these days. There's so many people having degrees. You can't just go work at McDonald's with that because they're like, well, there's a bunch of people applying and you're probably too overqualified for this role. So let's have a look at this clip from BBC. Hopefully it doesn't get copyrighted. You know how they work, but
who would want to work for your company if you're not replying back to potential employees?
What I will say about that first clip is, what does it say about your company? Bro, they don't care. I feel like it's such an employer's market right now, bro, because so many people need jobs and it seems like every job has so much competition going for it that they're going to get applicants regardless. Like, it doesn't matter if they reply to you or not. As long as they get the right guy, then does it matter? Does it really matter? Like, they don't need to reply to you probably because they have so many responses. It's a similar situation to like a woman on a dating app. You're getting so many matches, right? That you have so many options to choose from. You're not going to respond and reply to every single person you match with, right? And I think that's a similar thing with jobs these days. They've got so many applicants, they don't need to respond to you.
See your emails, I beg.
I don't think recruiters are actually recruiting.
That's deep. That is deep. How many job apps?
I mean, that's probably true. I mean, there is a whole, I don't know if you'd call it a scandal with these ghost job things where they just seem to list a job because they maybe have to, or they want to show that they're looking for jobs or whatever to achieve some goal or achieve some stats or whatever appease the numbers or whatever, but they're really not hiring, and it's just a ghost job. They're just maybe looking to get your details into the system, maybe they're looking to get some additional data or whatever it may be, or they're storing the data for later. There's so many reasons, but a lot of these job listings tend to be fake, I think.
Do you reckon you've submitted?
Over 80.
Maybe 45.
Over 10.
3-ish.
Bro said over 10. In what period is that over 10? I do feel like it is very difficult, but I don't think you should just be applying to one job and expect to get it. You don't just rock up to your first choice every time and get it. Like, you have to apply to a lot of jobs. Obviously, if you have a specific degree or you have a specific profession that you work in, then sure, you're probably applying to very specific roles. But if you're a young person who just maybe graduated and you have you're looking for different potential jobs, you can apply to a lot. And if you don't have any specific job requirements, you could just apply to any entry-level job and apply to as many as you can. I think saying you applied to 10, unless it was 10 in one day, are you really trying? Are you really trying, considering applying for jobs is not that difficult anymore? Because, AI can literally write your CV and tailor it to any job application. You can literally do the easy apply thing. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can. It doesn't really take that long to apply to a job. Probably not longer than 30 minutes, because especially entry-level roles, you're not doing anything too specific. I think most of them have axed their tests, and even their tests are about 10 minutes long nowadays, whereas before they used to be sometimes hours long to get through the applications.
I've been unemployed for the last 6 months. I've been lucky and very blessed that the majority of this time I went traveling around Asia, but then I came back to the UK job market of...
I feel like that's kind of mad. If you had the money to be traveling Asia, can you be complaining about not having a job? Can you? You obviously took time off to go travel. That's interesting.
2025. And it's the Wild Wild West out here. It's the Wild Wild West. I remember when I first came back, I was reading articles about how people are struggling to get jobs. And I remember listening to this podcast and hearing it's taking people 5 months to get jobs. And I was just like, what on earth, until I entered it. I feel like the job market, the UK job market in general, I underestimated how hard it is. And honestly, this job market has broken me. I've been broke.
So I don't actually know what people expect. Do you expect to just rock up and get a job anyway? Anywhere, anytime? Like, you just expect to throw one application out and be like, yeah, I'm employed now. I don't think that ever has been the case, right? Maybe back in the day, you could just rock up to the coal mine and start mining coal. You know what I mean? But like, I'm not too sure that nowadays there's too many jobs you could just do that to, especially with the competition, man. And a lot of people are working multiple jobs as well. But I do think some people can be a bit entitled just expecting to get a job. And they never say what jobs they're applying to. Just bear that in mind. Like, what jobs are you applying to and how many are you applying to?
I am stressed. Because of how the job market is for international students that requires a sponsorship, I'm currently stressed out because, number one, I've applied to, I would say now 200, reaching to 300 jobs, secured 2 interviews out of them, heard nothing back from the others. I'm currently finishing up my master's degree and I'm currently doing my thesis. Number 3, if I don't get a job by the end of this month, I will be kicked out of this house.
So she said she's going to get kicked out of the house. I'm assuming because she can't afford the rent. Getting a master's degree, I mean, a master's degree will overqualify you for so many jobs. That's for sure. In terms of international students wanting a job in the UK, I mean, I thought the whole point of studying in the UK as an international student was to get a better education, to go back to your country and work there, or go somewhere else and work there. I didn't know it was a way to immigrate to the country, I guess. I don't know. That seems a bit interesting. And there are some people in the comments saying that. But I also think, wouldn't companies prefer to hire people from that country? Wouldn't it just be a lot easier? So to say, let's say I had a master's degree and she had the master's degree. As a British citizen, wouldn't it be a lot easier for them to just hire that British citizen because it's way easier to onboard? Obviously, in some cases, there's restrictions on what sponsoring someone can do, and visa sponsorships are probably more expensive, a lot more work. It is an interesting food for thought. But to say she applied for 200 jobs and got 2 interviews, that's a 1% response rate, by the way. That is crazy. You'd expect probably maybe at least 10% of jobs to give you a shot, maybe an interview, right? It seems like most jobs these days, you just get the AI response, thanks for applying, feel free to apply in 6 months. So recently, some figures came out about the UK job market, stating that unemployment was up a lot and at the highest point since the 2008 market crash. So let's have a little look at that.
Continues to weaken, and I don't think it's going to get better anytime soon. This article right here from the BBC shows that unemployment has risen to 4.5%, and studies have shown that there's less employees on company payrolls. The economic pressure that Labour is putting on employers means that companies are hiring a lot less, and as we've all seen, since 2022, the number of job vacancies has already decreased, which means that there's even more job uncertainty, so candidates stay at their current positions for a lot longer. All of these variables conclude that there's less jobs out there and there's more talent looking for these jobs.
So there was a plethora of TikToks basically saying the same thing, saying that there's less job openings and unemployment is increasing now. That is quite worrying for many reasons. Especially if you're looking to get into the job market, I'd be very worried right now. And not having a job is got to be one of the worst things mentally. Not knowing how you're going to pay your bills. It's actually crazy because you think about it, people just put their life on hold. They'll maybe not be able to start a family, not be able to move out of their parents' house. And that will just lead to a lot more people seeking opportunities abroad. Obviously, I did make the video on why a lot of people are leaving. I think the job market is definitely one of the reasons.
Be grateful if you got a 9 to 5. I'm telling you, be grateful if you've got a job. No matter what the job is, be grateful you're earning some type of income, because it's hard out here. Unemployment in the UK has reached an all-time high.
Well, there you go.
New figures from the Office of National Statistics show that unemployment has risen from 4.6%, the highest rate from July 2001, meaning that 1.6 million people are out of work. And it could be for many reasons, from wanting 10 years work experience, applying for 70 plus odd jobs and not getting a phone call back, having more at the end of the month on universal credit than your actual salary.
So I do agree that some jobs have ridiculous expectations. They want you to have more experience than you potentially could have had in that time. There are some outrageous listings. I do think at this point, because so many people have degrees, they're looking for the person who has a somewhat experience, although it may seem a bit unrealistic in some circumstances, because how are you meant to change your career or even get into a field if you can't get experience because no one will give you the experience? Just kind of shows the value of maybe an apprenticeship or doing a placement year while you're at university, or internships. If you could get them, I bet they're so competitive now. Secondly, there he mentioned people applying for an abundance of jobs. We've seen already in this video that some people are applying for hundreds of jobs and not really getting any responses. And then obviously universal credit. I do think the universal credit system is very interesting. As somebody who was on it before, right? They don't give you a lot of money, or at least me. They gave me like £300 a month. If you have a lot of bills, you're not going to live on that. Obviously, if you have kids, I know there's exceptions if you have disabilities, but what I will say is the people at the job center do not care. Like, there is not really a push to get you in there. And if you're living a comfortable life, let's say you live at home with your parents and you can afford everything you want because they basically pay the rent and all your bills, £300 a month is fine, because you could do whatever you want with that, really. Considering if you don't leave your house and you don't mind, you could buy your food, you could buy your video games, you could do whatever, and then it's comfortable for you. And I do think there is an opportunity cost, right, where universal credit may give you however much money a month. If you go and work, you're spending a lot of time working for maybe marginally more money, right? And then you have more bills, because now you're gonna have to pay council tax. You're probably gonna have to pay rent. If they're subsidizing your rent, you're gonna have to pay your rent now. So you'll get more bills, and then you have to work. That's why I think a lot of people make that opportunity cost. I think there has to be some kind of, I don't know what, they need to change it somehow. They need to change the requirements to try and get people who don't want to work because universal credit's too comfy to getting into a job. And there was a comment here saying, I bet 95% is out of choice. There's bare jobs out there. I would say there's a half truth to that. There's a lot of people who are unemployed by choice, right? But I wouldn't say there's bare jobs out there.
AI, illegal immigrants.
AI, I think the AI thing is a bit overblown. I don't know how many jobs it's taken right now. I still think we're kind of a bit away. I know some software engineering jobs are being changed, but AI creates a lot of jobs as well. It's interesting. The thing is, obviously not everybody has the capability to work with AI or work in that field. It's not like some of the jobs it creates might be very high skilled, where it's taking some very low skilled jobs away. So it kind of gives more jobs to the upper class or people with education than maybe uneducated people who are just working people. But yeah, in terms of illegal immigrants, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I honestly, I'm not educated on this. I know a lot of people are saying a lot of illegal immigrants come. I will say, in jobs I've worked, there is a tendency to hire people that are immigrants, but they are legal immigrants, because if they weren't, they couldn't be hired. So I'm not sure what jobs illegal immigrants are taking because they legally can't work at any of your businesses, your typical businesses, your supermarkets, and stuff like that. They have to do these cash in hand odd jobs. Maybe they're working at the busman shop or the chicken shop. I don't know where these people are stealing your jobs from. Like that's what confuses me, to be honest. Like surely it would be legal immigration that was technically, if anyone's stealing your jobs. But a lot of the time, people who say they're stealing my jobs weren't qualified for the jobs they were expecting anyway. So anyway, let's move on. I mean, I will agree with that. Most people tend to hate their job or complain about their job. I just think it's a reality of life that you probably won't hate your job. I mean, think of people back 50, 60 years ago, used to work in coal mines and work these absolute dog shit jobs. And sure, there's still people that work jobs that are undesirable, but like I think most jobs nowadays are better than they were the majority of jobs maybe 70 to 100 years ago. So there is that. So as I mentioned, the degrees seem to be getting less and less valuable. Let's have a little breakdown of that right now.
You know the economy's bad when people who study those really well-respected subjects are just broke. Yeah, I had a friend called me, he did an engineering degree. He can't find a job. I got friends who've done maths degrees, economic degrees, and they're literally working in retail.
I know economics is definitely a degree that is struggling, bro. I know a guy from my job who said to me he's got an economics degree. He's working at the supermarket with me, bro. Yeah, like economics degrees seem a bit rough right now. I'm not sure what jobs economics people get. Usually, I guess in finance, but a lot of finance seems to be nepotism, or you have to have done an internship. I mean, engineering, obviously, I think what it is a lot of these good jobs, people started flocking to them, right? Because obviously, the whole useless degree thing's been around a while. Oh, you did an art history degree. What job are you going to get with that? Sort of thing. But then now, everyone's like, okay, you're right. I should pick a productive degree. Computer science is doing really well right now. You know, all the tech workers, you had all the people at Google going down the slide, getting their free lunch, sleeping at work. Everyone's like, I want that job. And now you see all the layoffs in the tech sector. And, you know, the tech sector is always evolving. The computer science sector always evolving. So the jobs that were relevant 5-10 years ago when people wanted these degrees are totally different now in some respects. So a lot of people getting those computer science degrees, engineering, maths, and now they're probably oversubscribed. Again, there's probably too many people with those degrees competing for the same jobs. How much does your degree mean? Now you might have to get a master's degree. But what happens when everyone has a master's degree? It's just like a never-ending cycle. I think we should stop pushing so many people towards degrees that they don't want to do or isn't relevant. Maybe they should decide what kind of job they want to do before they decide to go to university, right?
Eventually, they'll get a job in that field of study, but not for a while. They got to go through so many steps. They would have been better off if they just became an Uber driver, honestly. That's how oversaturated uni degrees are.
I also would say being an Uber driver is probably oversaturated as well. I mean, people think it's easy money.
And some of you are still trying to study some ridiculous subject because it's fun. Yeah, you want to study your philosophy and your gender study.
I think this whole idea of follow your passion in work is stupid. Because whenever you make something a job, it's no longer fun. Like, let's say your hobby or your passion, like, I don't know, you like building Lego. As soon as that becomes your job, you're going to have things about it that you dislike. And you might eventually start to despise what you used to love. You know what I mean? Anything that's a job becomes difficult. And I know a lot of people say, oh, the dream job. Stuff like YouTube. I think, like, what is YouTube not like the number one thing kids say they want to be, or streaming, or being an athlete? There are things about these jobs that are very hard and very shit. Like, it's not all sunshine and rainbows to do these jobs. Like, yes, they are preferable, probably because people see the amount of money they make and are like, oh, I wish I could do that. The reality is most athletes probably don't make that much money. Only the top tier athletes do. But if you think of like the Premier League, yes, they're all millionaires. You go down to the Championship, sure, maybe they make money. You start getting down to League 1 and League 2. How much money are they making? Are they making generational wealth? Probably not. And then you get to like the Conference League below that. These are still professionals, but are they making that much money? Probably not. Right? And I think it's a similar thing with YouTube and streaming. Yes, you see the guys at the top making millions, but there's a bunch of people probably earning like minimum wage from their stream or their YouTube channel, right? So I do think people should not follow their passion. You should be a little bit more planned and say, what sectors are there that needs to be filled? What can I do? What am I good at? Should I go into that? And then be sensible with your money. Build a career where you could earn a decent chunk of money. And then maybe you can retire and then follow your passion at like 50, 60 years old. Not go look for your passion when you're like 20 years old, 25 years old, and try and find a job that incorporates it. Because let me tell you, like 95% of people will never be able to do that.
Study your philosophy and your gender study. My friend, you're going to struggle if you do that. God bless if your parents are rich, yeah? Do what you want. But if you do it outside of that reason, you're an idiot. You're either ignorant, naive, or just stupid.
Well, we already know if your parents are rich, it's a cheat code, but like, it's the hack of life. You've got the good spawn point at that point, right? There are some jobs that obviously are very oversubscribed, but there are also some jobs that we inevitably will have a skill shortage of. I think I saw a stat about the US that they're going to need like 300,000 electricians. They need plumbers. They need HVAC people. All the trades per se, those are very undersubscribed. When I asked ChatGPT, it basically said the same thing. It said we're going to need a lot more people in computer science and engineering, and like especially the green engineering and stuff like that, because obviously the whole world's making the whole climate science thing, so we're moving on to net zero and all of that. So let's have a look at what this guy said about that.
Everybody keeps on saying the UK job market is cooked, but this is low-key good news for job seekers because the UK is also experiencing a skill shortage. Apparently, the government is unable to meet their defence and clean energy targets because of labour constraints, aka there are not enough skilled workers for jobs in the defence and clean energy space in the UK. For the government to meet their targets, the workforce would need to expand by 150,000 people by 2030. And not to get political or anything, but the UK isn't exactly pro-immigration, let's be honest, because the ideal solution would be to rely on foreign workers, but Tories is low-key good news for British citizens because the general consensus is that if you want to future-proof your career, then it's best to study, upskill, and pursue careers in STEM-related fields, aka science, technology, engineering, and maths, and generally looking into career paths of high demand for workers. So I've compiled a list of the latest in demand.
Having a plan for your career, really, and looking at what fields in the next 10 years may need demand. Like, yes, you could still do a degree that you may enjoy, you have interest in. Let's say you have interest in engineering, but there's plenty of jobs you could get with an engineering degree and a maths degree and a computer science degree. It's not just software engineer, or, oh, I'm going to go build bridges. You know what I mean? Like, there's plenty of roles you could get with that degree, and it's about looking at where the shortages may be so you could future-proof your career, like he said. As we mentioned earlier, a lot of people are applying to a lot of jobs, but the reality is, how are you doing it? What are you doing? Are you just going on Indeed or LinkedIn and clicking the easy apply now, and it just uses your CV that you uploaded and you apply for the job and you never hear back? And doing the lazy way, you know, getting AI to do it for you, whatever. The reality is, I don't think that actually works. Every time when I was applying for jobs, I used the Indeed easy apply and never heard back once. Never heard back. Never got an interview, nothing. In many cases, it was a straight rejection or just they ignored it. When I go and apply on the actual company website, that's when you get a hit, when you hear back. So I would say, if you're going to use Indeed and LinkedIn, maybe you should use them to see what jobs are available and then go apply on the actual site rather than using the easy apply. Don't be lazy. But we're going to see a few TikToks now that talk about this. So let's go.
Applying for jobs on LinkedIn and using that easy apply function that they have. Let's talk about that. When you use that function, please remember that you are competing with hundreds, sometimes thousands of people who are applying for exactly the same job. If you've ever seen that function, you will see that a job might have been posted 22 hours ago and it's got 500 applications. So how do you make sure that you stand out if you're going to use that easy apply? Let me show you how.
Don't use the easy apply. That's how you stand out, by the way. That's how you do it. And the reality is, standing out is not important until you get to the interview stage, because everyone's CV is the exact same thing. They all use the same filter bullshit to filter CVs. No one is sitting there and hand reading. I promise you, your 500 applications, those 500 people, no one's looking at it. It goes to an AI program and they read through it and they have like a checkbox. Anything that flags up, they just reject it. They all use the same sort of systems to check stuff. So check if you have spelling mistakes, check if you used keywords, and then they put the ones that are candidates in one pile and they just reject everyone else. And then maybe someone will actually look at it.
Jobs on LinkedIn will usually tell you who the hiring manager is. Find that hiring manager, as in their name, first name, last name. Send that hiring manager a personalized message and connect with them. Tell them that you've applied using that easy apply function, but tell them that you're interested and say something that is meaningful. These recruiters get many messages a day, thousands.
Really and truly, this is bad advice. Don't do that. Don't bother some random dude. No, don't do that. I promise you, you're probably annoying them more than you would, and they're probably going to reject you. Like, there's nothing memorable. This is like that Will Smith movie, Pursuit of Happiness, where he just happens to run into the investing guy in the elevator and he starts talking to him, trying to get an interview. That shit don't happen in real life very often, mate. What, you're going to be the one special dude who messaged him? I bet you everyone else messaged him too. Like, people aren't stupid. They all know the same tips. They're doing the same thing as you. So how you're meant to stand out in the CV? Okay, maybe if another 100 people send the message as well. Well, how are you going to stand out in that for one job? It's silly. I don't think it helps at all. Plus, those people probably aren't responding. Imagine how many messages they get. Are they really going to respond to you? Probably not.
Finding a job in 2025 is not that hard. The first thing that you want to do is stop using these generic websites like Indeed and Monster. Not only are you...
I don't know what Monster is. I don't think using Indeed in itself is a bad idea. You can use Indeed just to see what jobs there are. Like I said, apply on the job website. Obviously, there's other job thingies like Read and Total Jobs, and there's some specified websites. But I think applying through those third-party websites is always a bad idea.
Competing with thousands of people, but the best companies don't actually post on there. Instead...
Does anyone actually post on Indeed? I thought Indeed just went and found job listings. That's why a lot of them link directly to the website. I don't think many people advertise directly through Indeed. Indeed is just a job board. You know what I mean? Like, they aggregate what jobs are and you go and do what you will.
You want to be using websites like these because...
Let's have a look. LinkedIn jobs. Outtro is a good one for tech. I haven't used the other ones, I can't speak, but I know Outtro has a lot of jobs for tech. But you're not going to have a job board where you scroll. You put in your requirements and it will give you jobs every week. It will give you like a selection. And sometimes it could be 5, sometimes it could be 1. You know what I mean? Sometimes it could be 10. Yeah, I mean, remotejobs.com. Okay.
not many people know about them, and the best companies actually post
She missed one out, by the way. Go look at the government website. The UK government has a actual website where they advertise a bunch of roles. So you can go look there. There's probably thousands of roles on there. So I would say look there as well. Don't just look at these random ones.
Then you want to use this tool to automate that process for you and help you apply to hundreds of jobs a day.
So is this advertising some bloody AI fucking program that's going to do it for you? Just don't do that. You know, don't do that. I mean, this seems like some kind of unsolicited advert. Don't listen to these people on TikTok who are trying to sell you getting a job is easy. Do it this way. Use my AI tool. You're going to get a job. No, bro. That's not how it works. Taking shortcuts very rarely works. You know what I mean? If it's too good to be true, it probably is. Now, I actually found another one of these that we're going to look at now because people need to be aware.
Exactly why you're struggling to get a job right now. So this is what you and most people do. Click easy apply and hope for the... This is what I do. I copy the job description and I go into ChatGPT and I put it into ChatGPT. I also give ChatGPT my CV. So what I do is I tell ChatGPT exactly how I want this output to be. I want to customize my CV and I want it to actually create an email that I can send to the hiring manager to get their attention and to get them on a quick call. So as you can see, it's already outputted the email that I can send as well as the CV that is customized for the job. What I'm going to do is go into the hiring manager's LinkedIn profile, click on contact tab, get their email address. I've already got the email address. All I have to do is copy and paste the email that ChatGPT... Actually, the difference, right? He's going to get 100 applications, over 100 applications already, and I'm going to be the only one that's going to... By the way, if you want the email script that I use, comment the...
What kills me is bro couldn't even edit his video properly to keep all the words in. But you know what, brother, don't just use ChatGPT. ChatGPT makes mistakes. Most people aren't used to using it. Okay, it takes a while to get used to it. Yes, if you talk to it and you give it requirements, it will eventually get there. But it can make spelling mistakes. It can make stuff up. ChatGPT will literally make stuff up. And then you'll rock up to the job interview. Imagine it's made up some job listing you didn't even realize because you probably didn't read it because you too lazy to do it yourself. You put it in AI and it fucks it up for you. I don't think it's a bad idea. Look, you can use ChatGPT to fix up your CV and to tailor it and to make it better. But don't just paste the job thing, paste your CV, and then send it to some random guy and ask for the job. That's a bad idea, bro. So another thing I want to look at is this concept of NEETS. Now, if you don't know what that is, it's not in education. I think it's not in education, employment, or training. And there's been an absolute rise, I think, in most of the Western world, especially young men between the ages of 16 to 24 not being in any of those things. And I think it's really just people checking out of society, realizing maybe they don't have no hope, no direction in life. I mean, I feel like schools don't really cater to men very well these days. Like, it feels like it's all about pushing you into university, and a lot of men don't know what they want to do, right? For majority of human existence, men have worked with their hands, men have worked in physical fields, and a lot of the time, those jobs aren't advertised at school. It's all about trying to push you into STEM, push you into degrees.
Message to the young people in the UK. I'm sure you can relate that you've seen all over the media that there's a pandemic of 16 to 24-year-olds, which is the highest actual age group to be unemployed in the UK. To be labelled unemployed, essentially, is that you want to work, but you can't find a job. And then the other term, which is used at the moment, is economically inactive.
Yeah, but what's funny about the unemployment figures is they will kind of supplement it with saying, if you're not actively searching for work, you aren't unemployed. Isn't that weird? Isn't that kind of dishonest?
People usually cannot work due to sickness. What blows my mind away is that, especially the number, which is around 950,000 people in the UK, but there is numerous jobs out there. I understand if you've not got the experience, but I'm talking about your warehouse, your retail jobs. Sometimes I think we have to just swallow our pride and just work as, yes, it's demanding physically, but mentally you'll feel a lot better and you're contributing to society.
With a lot of these jobs, he says there's a lot of jobs. I do think there is a lot of jobs, and people don't want to work the shit jobs, I understand. But the funny thing about it is, a lot of these jobs are very much like, I work at a big supermarket, yeah. They very rarely post listings there. It's a massive supermarket. They probably hire 100 people, maybe more. I very rarely see that. I was looking at that website when I was unemployed for every day. They very rarely list new jobs. A lot of the time, it's through... They hire people through people they know. So, like, if I'm working there and I say, oh, my friend needs a job, they'll hire them. They won't even put a job listing out. And I think that's a lot of the cases in the UK. I think there's a lot of cases, especially with companies and jobs he's talking about, is they hire people they know or from people they know, right? They don't always put out job adverts unless they need quite a few people to come in. So while he's right on one thing, look, some people just need to suck it up and go work at McDonald's. Like, don't just sit there and claim benefits, bro. You know what I mean? You're gonna feel shit. Yes, being unemployed for like a week is cool, or a month. You know, it's like a free holiday. And then you realize that life is so shit. Like, you have no money, you can't do anything, you're going nowhere. You know, at least working a job, while you probably hate your job, at least you're earning a bit more money and you're making something of yourself. And when people see that fat gap of unemployment on your CV, they're like, what are you doing, man? What were you doing for 2 years unemployed? And then if you don't have a good answer, they ain't going to give you the job either. So the last thing I want to talk about, and we touched on, is obviously universal credit, right? And obviously some people say that no one should ever receive universal credit. People are scamming the system, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that are scamming the system. But what I will say about job centers, as somebody who's had to go there before, is they are not very helpful, for sure. They don't care. They don't care if you get employed. Literally, they see you once a month and they say, did you apply for something? Yeah, all right, cool. Let me know how it goes. And you don't see him for another month. They never give you resources. They never help you. And let's have a look at a guy.
Job centers in the UK aren't helping anymore. Yes, you heard me right. I just visited my local job center as a student trying to find work. Of course, to support myself and my family.
As a student, you can't claim universal credit as a student. I mean, I get, no, if you're getting student finance, you can't. I'm assuming you can't though. I don't think you can.
And you won't believe what they told me. They literally told me, we can't help you unless you claim benefits. I am not
brother, why did you work up to... I thought the job center was only for people on benefits. This is really weird, but okay.
entitled to any support. No training, no job search help, nothing, unless I claim universal credit. Guys, you have to...
Yes, that is how it works, buddy. Like, what are we on? The job center is a resource for people who are unemployed, claiming universal credit. That's how they know. I mean, they're not going to waste their time. They don't get paid to help anyone. You know what I mean? I understand that it might be disappointing, but there's bare links online. Why is he rocking up to the job center? Why can't he look online?
Understand, this is a government-funded service for all UK citizens, and I'm being told I'm not entitled to anything. At least they...
I mean, this is what I mean. I think this is a kind of entitled mindset, bro. To rock up there, like, brother, just apply for some jobs then. You know, them ones are there. Is it that difficult? I don't think it's difficult to apply for jobs. Why do you need to rock up to the job center? But like, I will say, job centers are useless in anyway. You know what I mean? Like, even if you are on universal credit, as somebody who was before, brother, they don't help. They don't care. It's literally rock up. So what do you do this week? Oh yeah, I applied to this, and I'm looking at this, and I might do this. All right, cool. I'll book you in next week, next month, 2 weeks, whatever it may be. Might even be a phone call. Job centers have been useless for time, bro. They don't want to get people of universal credit because they don't give a fuck. The government obviously don't care. They're probably underfunded. It is what it is, man. And following on from that, I want to show this guy because he just, like, he followed on. Imagine if the guy before watched this TikTok.
The UK government official job site. Most people don't know that the UK government official job site has thousands of entry-level job, admin work, NHS and council roles all in one place. So if you're looking for entry-level jobs with no experience, this is how to use the UK Gov website to find these jobs. Just go to the website gov.uk/find a job. This is the official government job board. And here you can just search for the jobs that you're looking for, whether it's admin assistant, retail job, support worker, care assistant, and so much more. You can also use the filters to filter the location and also filter the type of job, whether it's full-time job you want or part-time job, in order to gauge the accuracy on the type of job that you want. And you just...
And that's what I'm saying, man. The government even have a website for you. So for that guy before who say it's a government service and the government are helping us, I will say there is a government website. You can go look there. Some of the jobs may require a degree. I mean, some you may not be eligible for, but there is a lot of jobs there. You know what I mean? It's an option. It's a resource. Use it. Have a look. You know what I mean? At the very minimum. Now, the last thing I wanted to cover in this video is a concept as known as dream jobs. We touched on it earlier, but just listen to what this guy had to say, because I thought it was absolutely hilarious. This idea that there's such a thing as a dream job is so funny to me, because I don't really think there is a dream job, because no matter what your job is, unless it's one of those like top 5 holy grail jobs of like athlete or actor, one of those jobs where you make millions, where maybe the compensation is worth it. Like what is a dream job? You know what I mean? But let's have a look at what
For the next person that wants to ask me what my dream job is, I'm here to tell you. My dream job is unemployment with a base salary of about 15 to 20k a month. That's it. It's not that complicated.
He's cooking, bro. He's cooking. That's what everyone's is. Just that easy 20 grand a month. What's that, like 240 a year? I mean, you do whatever you want with that money, bro. That's beautiful. And you don't have to work. Obviously, that's amazing, man. That's beautiful.
That is my dream job. If that can be found for me, I'll take that. Because I'm wondering who in this day and age is thinking about a job. Want to be employed? No. Give me unemployment with a base salary like that and I'll take it.
I mean, he's cooking, bro. He's cooking. I mean, honestly, that is probably everyone's dream job. Like, no one wants to go be like, would you rather be a plumber earning that much or just do nothing and earn that much, right? But I guess that's what passive income is. If you've got that much money, then you are unemployed, just earning that much. We have to have a good spawn point where you have a lot of money to start with. But yeah, man, I just wanted to talk about that aspect of dream jobs because I feel like so many people are just looking for the perfect job, right? Oh, I don't want to do that. I don't like this. This is too much. Oh, I don't like this job. Like, I'm just trying to get, like, just do a job, earn some money, make a good career. Most people hate their jobs. Most people for eternity have hated their job. You think people in the fucking medieval age love plowing the field and planting potatoes? You think people like 100, 200 years ago love mining coal? You know what I mean? Like, no one loves their job. For the most part, people do their job to earn money, to live a good life. The better job you get, the more money you have. The more secure your job is, the better career you have, the more money you can put away, and the earlier you can retire and do what you want. You know what I mean? And live what he's saying, unemployment with a great salary. You know what I'm saying? But like, I just think this concept of a dream job is ridiculous. Like, sure, there's very few people that get to live that out anyway. Sure, for the athletes, sure, everyone wanted to be an athlete when they were a kid, or I guess an actor, or even these days YouTuber, streamer. There's very few people that can do that. Not everyone can do that, right? So I'd say probably 1% of people who live a dream job, maybe being generous 5. The rest of the 95% of us, we just do the regular job, and you gotta get on with it and live your life. But you guys let me know in the comments below, is the job market in the UK cooked? As I said, I think it's somewhere in the middle, man. It's somewhere in the middle. I do think it is getting increasingly hard to find a job, mainly because it's an employer's market right now. You have to jump through a lot of hoops to actually get a job, and you actually have to be willing to work a job you don't want to work. There is the flip side to it where some people just don't give a fuck. They don't want to work, man. And it is what it is there. But you guys let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you all in the next one.